EGC, Ecclesia Gnostica Catholica. It is the ecclesiastical or the church arm of Ordo Templi Orientis. They are one and the same. It's like a church within an order, or an order within a church, which in a way was exactly what the Knights Templar were. So, but it deals with the mysteries of the Holy Grail and the Spirit descending into the Holy Grail. And that's what we're going to discuss today, which is the final chapter of the Magick of Aleister Crowley. We're finishing up. I congratulate you for sitting through what must be for many of you a few tedious readings of rituals that were never meant to be entertainment as such. But anyway, this is the creme de la creme, in my opinion, chapter 13, the religion of Thelema, which will include the Gnostic Mass. It begins with an epigram from Magic in Theory and Practice, which says, one of the simplest and most complete magical ceremonies is the Eucharist. It consists in taking common things, transmuting them into things divine, and then consuming them. That's from Magic in Theory and Practice and Book 4 and things like that. It is no accident that I've chosen to make Liber 15 the final chapter of this Handbook of the Rituals of Thelema. Anyone who has had the privilege of celebrating the Gnostic Mass will understand that I have saved the best for last. This Eucharistic ceremony exquisitely expresses the purest element of Thelemic cosmology and philosophy. And it does so in such a manner that it can be appreciated by the broadest possible spectrum of truth seekers. The law is for all. And as fascinating as the study of Thelemic magic may be for many of us, the fact remains that the vast majority of the population will never be attracted to the theories and techniques I've outlined in this book. Nor should their disinterest in the technical aspects of magic exclude them from embracing the law of Thelema or applying the formula of the new aeon to their lives. Like the Roman or Orthodox Mass of the Aeon of Osiris, Liber 15 serves to bring the Thelemic community together to affirm a common creed, and provides an opportunity for all to participate directly in the magical formulae of the age. However, in order for all to participate directly in the magical formulae of the Mass must be conducted in such a manner as to actually communicate those formulae. Unfortunately, it takes only a slight change of focus on the part of the ritual team or congregation to degenerate the Mass from a ceremony of the religion of the future to a ritual that exalts the spiritual formulae of the past. The Gnostic Mass temple is a very beautiful and highly symbolic ritual space. In the east, which is the direction of Boleskine in Scotland, there's a shrine or high altar. This shrine supports the Stele of Revealing, the Book of the Law, and the sacred elements of the Eucharist. The high altar is the focal point of the worship service. This is where the magic takes place in the aeon of the crowned and conquering child. Everything that is said and done in the other areas of the temple are merely preparatory acts to the magic that will take place on the high altar. The high altar is elevated above the rest of the temple. It is set upon the top level of a dais of 3 steps. This is the high place of the temple and an appropriate setting for the eventual magical climax of the ceremony. Once the priestess has taken her place upon the high altar, the veil is drawn before the shrine, and the priest ascends to the high altar by 3 steps of the dais. As he does so, he halts at each step, and he, the priestess, and the deacon poetically reveal a fundamental mystery of this worship service. That is, the formula of worship in the Aeon of Horus has evolved step by step from the formulae of the 2 previous aeons. The first step represents the Aeon of Isis, the age of the goddess, and it is on the first step that the goddess is worshipped in the Gnostic Mass. Here the priestess identifies as the goddess Nuit. It is on the first step that the priest sings, "O Nuit, continuous one of heaven, let it ever be thus, that men speak not of thee as one, but as none, and let them speak not of thee at all, since thou art continuous." And it is while standing on the first step that he hears the priestess deliver her beautiful "but to love me is better than all things" speech. Now, as worshipers, we could stay on the first step, worshiping the goddess and adhering to her formula forever. Indeed, many people do just that. But we, the children of the Aeon of Horus, adore the goddess not as an end, but as a means. We linger on the first step only long enough to activate the formula of the goddess within ourselves to prepare for a wedding. Only long enough to allow ourselves to be aroused by the essence of her divinity before stepping up to the next level of worship. The second step represents the Aeon of Osiris, the age of the dying god. And it is on the second step that the priest is identified as the god Hadit, the inscrutable lover at the very center of the infinite body of Nuit. I am the flame that burns in every heart of man and in the core of every star. And reminiscent of Osiris, Krishna, Christ, and every other dying god, he goes on to say, I am life and the giver of life, yet therefore is the knowledge of me the knowledge of death. As worshippers, we could stay on the second step, worshiping the dying God and adhering to his formula forever. Indeed, many people do just that. But we, the children of the Aeon of Horus, adore the dying god not as an end, but as a means. We linger on the second step only long enough to activate the formula of the dying god within ourselves. Only long enough to snatch the vibrating pulse of life and death from the patriarchal Lord in order to prepare for a wedding. A wedding that we will celebrate on the third and final step. It is upon the third step that we achieve synthesis. It is upon the third step the mystic marriage will be consummated. It is upon the third step the true object of worship will appear. Ra Hur Kuit, the crowned and conquering child, the child of the goddess and the god of the last two aeons. We give thanks and respect to the goddess and the priestess who embodies her, but at the end of the Mass, it is not she whom we worship. It is not she whom we adore. It is not she with whom we commune. We give thanks and we respect to the God and the priest who embodies him. But at the end of the Mass, it is not he whom we worship. It is not he whom we adore. It is not he with whom we commune. As we will see, the Mass of the Gnostic Catholic Church is an enactment of a great and wonderful magical secret. The goal of this secret is the creation of a child. Whether that child is the material or emotional object of your heart's desire or knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel. It is true. Without the goddess and the god, the child would not be born. But those who would treat the Gnostic Mass as a ceremony of goddess worship are missing the point entirely. With all the other worshippers of the Aeon of Isis, they cannot rise above the first step of worship. Those who would relegate the Gnostic Mass to a ceremony of phallus worship are also missing the point entirely. Like worshippers of the Aeon of Osiris, they cannot rise above the second step of worship. At the end of the ceremony, each celebrant should be standing spiritually on the third step of worship. Our attention focused with full concentration, not upon the priestess, not upon the priest, but upon the child, as embodied in the host and wine. Only those who have achieved, then transcended the arousal of the goddess, only those who have achieved, then transcended the concentrated potency of the god, only those who have annihilated both god and goddess in ecstasy can stand on the third spiritual step and consume and then become the child of their union. Only those who have taken the third spiritual step are worthy to be called worshippers of the Aeon of Horus. Today, largely due to the tremendous growth of the OTO, the Gnostic Mass is regularly celebrated worldwide. It is used to observe the feast days of the Book of the Law and to mark the Thelemic community's births, rites of passage, marriages, and deaths. For the initiate, Liber 15 is a treasure house of technical information relating to a supreme technique of high magic. But for all of us, it is a joyous feast, an act of worship, and the celebration of a miracle. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will read through Liber 15, OTO, Ecclesia Gnostica Catholica, Canon Missae. And then this book will be completed. We'll discuss what comes after that tomorrow. I do have a book that I'm thinking about reading. It has recently gone out of print, and they're trying to sell it for $900. Don't buy it. $900. There's a wonderful new publisher that's going to be publishing a new edition with additions and fun things of homemade magic. If you've got homemade magic, that's great. You can follow along. And I haven't made up my mind for sure, but perhaps we'll start reading homemade magic on Sunday. Anyway, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love and your will. Have a great weekend, everyone.